It's Rockin' and Rappin', a podcast with a purpose. I'm King Cooper here with Alex and no Flizo. Breaking news. We were the first to break the news on Gate. We're making history again with Nutgate. Krispy Kreme donuts are not crispy. It's false advertising. They're as soft as a baby's behind. Now for our
What does that
musical
have to do with
portion.
nuts?
Donuts.
Oh, okay. Yep,
Now
took
for the
me a minute.
musical portion of our show. Let's get it, bro. What they say, it's pitiful. They act right out of spite. They need to calm down, take a bite of this mite or a cool drink. I might pop a Sprite before I pop a punk for puking on his skin-tight trunks. You need a XYZ, express your love for Z. I'm talking powerful, need to bow before touching knees to your head. Bracket rapping, you must choose one.
I mean, I liked the flow. The lyrics were a little weird.
Why? What was weird about them?
Isn't Zed the bad guy in the Power Rangers?
Talking powerful.
Wait, that was on purpose? Like you were
Yeah.
making a Power Rangers reference? Oh snap! Okay, then I guess no, it went real well then, because
Yeah.
that's what I thought, and I
Yeah, and
assumed
you're
you weren't referencing Power Rangers season 2.
why would I not? Did you have a favorite Power Ranger, the green one?
I don't know. I mean, I think I was more red over Tommy, and then like I don't know how much you've kept with Power Rangers, but
Well, yeah, I was gonna say
Tommy,
after a certain point, you can't keep
yeah,
up.
but Tommy kept coming back. He was green, white, and red multiple times. At one point in time, he was the teacher of new Power Rangers, but that's like after FPD and all that. Like that's way in the weird sagas.
Yeah, I think I stopped after the Ooze movie.
So you stopped early, like right
Yeah,
at Turbo.
I mean, I loved the White Ranger and the White Tiger, which also gets me into Zoids. You remember that show?
Oh god. There's a Zoids video game which for
Hmm.
some reason has the avatars riding on top of the Zoids, and I was like, no, I want a game where I can control a robot animal and I just fight other robot animals. Like, I want a mech game based off of that. Like,
Have they
but
not
that
done that
one
yet?
does not. I think they might have on like the DS, so it's not a
Uh,
good game. But they have not made a
Dynasty Warriors
23rd century game.
Gundam looked like a good version of that
Is that the
mech
chibi one?
fighting thing.
That one was pretty cool. There was a demo, but apparently there's a lot of replay the same stage over and over to get experience to unlock parts to make your Gundams better, and
It's very
I
much
don't know.
Dynasty Warriors, though, and you're not even
That's
doing anything. At a certain point, I realized you don't even have to press the attack button. You just push the joystick into the bad guys, and your character will do it.
a lot of games became Dynasty Warriors though. Like
How
there's a
so?
Zelda Dynasty Warriors, Hyrule Warriors. It's just Dynasty Warriors with Zelda characters. It became such a like I guess a genre that people just don't know as a genre because no one ever refers to things as a Warriors game.
Interesting. I need to give a shout out to my wife for telling me to write things down, that this is not an original idea from me. It is her secret to success.
So you just been passing that off as your own for years, and
Yeah.
uh,
The show's only this year, since
yeah, but
2024. Until forever, baby. For Shakespeare this week, I was going to read Sonnet 44 since last week I read 43, and I just figured we'd keep it rolling. You ready for some Shakespeare?
I mean I got nowhere else to be.
Sounds good. 44. If the dull substance of my flesh were thought, injurious distance should not stop my way, for then, despite of space, I would be brought from limits far remote where thou dost stay. No matter then, although my foot did stand upon the farthest earth removed from thee, for nimble thought can jump both sea and land, as soon as think the place where he would be. But thought kills me that I am not thought, to leap large lengths of miles when thou art gone, but that so much of earth and water wrought, I must attend time's leisure with my moan, receiving naught by elements so slow, but heavy tears, badges of either's woe. Did you catch anything in that?
Not really, just a bunch of sadness.
Yeah, I was thinking it's very similar to the song Ain't No Mountain High, Ain't No Valley Low to keep me from getting to you. And then he keeps expressing if I were thought I could travel, kind of touching on sort of a flatland thing. If he were a fourth dimensional type creature that he was thought, he could instant transmission.
Well, I feel like in the Flatland, they all existed in the same universe and just didn't know it, and it kind of annoyed me. Because like
Well, yeah,
he just ended up in the one dimensional world, and then the three dimensional figure just broke into his house one that day. He's like, oh, because it just came out of nowhere. So it's like they all existed in the same universe already.
he takes a square into the three-dimensional world, right? But he can't appreciate it. Like he can't see
Well, I guess he can't.
three-dimensional
Yeah, you
objects,
can't
so it's
grasp it.
all
So
a
you really
screen to
can't.
him. And he visited Line Land. A Square
But
did, which is
in that logic means that thought travel already exists in our universe. We just can't comprehend it.
yeah, or that we aren't thoughts, that we're physical creatures.
Yeah. So there's a dimension of thought that we can't brace because we're not thought
Yeah,
creatures,
we have to
which
shake
is
off
kind of
these
weird if you
mortal
think about it.
coils.
I guess
Yeah,
that would make sense to explain what
well,
heaven is, because if it's a dimension above you,
yeah. I
that's
mean, you
weird.
could argue that thought is the spirit, because it's also
No,
like thinking. And I also say that, like, the in the beginning was the word, that you're thinking in words. So thought and words go hand in hand. That that words make us special, and that could be the spirit.
yeah, yeah.
This episode, I want to talk about Invocation of the Muses. The history I read a few weeks ago that mentioned heathens started with an invocation of the Muses. It said, "Come, O my muse, my pen inspire, and touch it with poetic fire. Help me to tell the wondrous story of past and torturous glory." Are you familiar with invoking the Muses? I
Not in
mean,
whatever thing you just read, but like just the concept of muses. Yeah,
yeah, so I figured you were with the Muses. I have
yeah. I guess
Hercules
that's what
behind
makes
me, and there's the
Hercules makes sense
Muses
there.
from Disney's Hercules above them. So the Muses are ancient Greek goddesses of the arts, and artists would call upon them to be granted a great work. Starting with a song can get the creative juices flowing and even provide a summary of the tale to come. Like in the Iliad, it starts with, "Sing, O goddess, the anger of Achilles, son of Peleus, that brought countless ills upon the Aegeans. Many a brave soul did it send hurrying down to Hades, and many a hero did it yield a prey to dogs and vultures. For so were the counsels of Zeus fulfilled from the day on which the son of Atreus, king of men, and great Achilles first fell out with one another." So that gives an example of the summary of the story, where Achilles is going to fall out with uh, Agamemnon. He's the son of Atreus.
But that has nothing to do with Homer.
Well,
Or
Homer
is
tells
that?
the story.
I thought Homer was the story.
You thought the Iliad was about Homer?
Is it that? Oh, that's the Odyssey.
No, that's about Odysseus. Homer is the author,
Is the? Oh,
but
okay. I
it's
guess I'm
also
just making characters into authors.
yeah, but it's also said that, well, 'cause this goes back to Flatland, how the priests were retelling the story, that Homer is a character that is just, over time people were telling this story, and eventually somebody wrote it down. But it's attributed to Homer. I don't know if there's any evidence that he's a real person that ever
Okay.
existed.
But in theory, he did, because in theory, Odysseus and Achilles did.
Yes.
'Cause I saw somewhere that there was an argument that like uh Corey never existed. Like it's not a real place.
Troy? Oh.
Corey,
Yeah,
the
yeah, I've seen arguments for it finding that, but I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me. And after you get far enough back, like over 50 years old, it gets hard to tell history. And I can see how history has been rewritten within my lifetime. So to go even that far back, 100 years, it's difficult to know actually what was true, especially the whole Victor's writing history. But then it's the generations after rewriting it, and even if we're changing our language, then there's opportunity to cut things out or just get change what was said.
yeah, no, I mean that's fair because even in those books, the color blue didn't exist when those books were written. They described the ocean as purple, so things have grown and changed since even the writing of those books, let alone the time in which those books would have taken place.
Have you ever seen, there's an experiment that was done with the people that don't have a word for blue, and they'd look at a bunch of squares of color, and it's basically green is what they see. But also that human eyes we can see the most shades of green, which I guess makes sense if we're hunting from the bush.
Wait,
This
that's
is
the
me
weird thing.
throwing a
Like,
spear.
um, you ever see like the way deer, like those camera footages, like, oh, this is how deer see, and they see orange as green. Like they don't see
No, I
orange
haven't.
apparently, and so that's why hunters can wear reflective orange
Oh.
vests because humans can see orange, but those sorts of animals do not see orange. And then also why tigers are orange because apparently they
Mm-hmm.
are invisible in the forest because they blend in, they're green. Like a lot of animals apparently just can't see orange.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder where that comes from and what the sunset looks like to them when there is orange in the sky. Is it a gray sky?
I don't know. That'd
Yeah, I
be
guess we'll never
kind of
find out.
depressing.
And yeah, well, that's for animals. Their whole lives are depressing. They're just beasts. Another invocation of the muse I have is from Paradise Lost, English epic poem, and it begins with this. When I beheld the poet blind, yet bold, in slender book his vast design unfold, Messiah crowned, God's reconciled decree, rebelling angels, the forbidden tree. A little summary of what's going to happen with the God's decree and the forbidden tree.
I don't know what Paradise Lost is. Is it about
I
the
keep
Bible?
I've mentioned it several times. It's just an English epic poem. And I had said it was like 200 pages long. It appears to be something like 300. And it's
I
just
feel like that's
all
a
this
book,
sort
not a
of
poem.
language. And my wife and I like to joke about the thithers and hithers because there's plenty of those. But because I read this book out loud, I can say things others can't. I've been to places others haven't. Like the hero's journey, my body and mind have been changed. This is ancient wisdom. I believe he also
Until it's not.
references. What do you mean?
Until it's not. There's going to be a time in which it's lost, and then it's just
Wow.
lore, and
I,
it's not even wisdom
but
anymore. It's just a myth.
mm-hmm. Wisdom becomes myth. I could see that. There's
I
also a
guess,
reference
yeah.
to Homer because he says poet blind, and I think that's a thing that Homer is supposedly blind, and of course he is the poet until
Oh, okay.
Shakespeare became. And then finally, our poet of this generation is Eminem. So his invocation on the song I Will goes like this. God bless the pen and let Biggie possess the pencil lead. So instead of calling out to the muses, well, one, he calls out to God. He says he's asking for the pen to be blessed with this great work that he's going to write. And Biggie Smalls, possesses the pencil lead. So in that sense, Biggie is his muse.
So he picks sides.
Versus Tupac? I don't think
Tupac.
so. Because, I mean, he works for Dre. He'd kind of have to be cool with that. But he does say that he's East Side. So in that sense, he's picked sides.
I saw something on TikTok the other day that I guess older people are trying to argue with the new alphas that it's like the word "stand" comes from Eminem. Like you stand for somebody because of Eminem's song, not like
Yeah,
it wasn't a thing before that.
maybe you had shared that because I had seen a thing
I
where
might have
someone had
sent
mentioned
it to
that.
you then.
Every generation is trying to create new words in their own language. I don't know if you've heard of Riz, as in charisma,
Yeah, I don't know.
but there's also like, I don't know, dipping off the Rizzler or something. That's what the Gen Alpha kids are saying. It goes with this idea of each generation creating their own rules, and I'm opposed to such thing because you don't know why the rules are there in the first place. Like Shakespeare had rules in his life, but because he created our language, he created a bunch of rules that unless you're vastly informed on Shakespeare, you're not aware of those rules. And when you
Right.
go about trying to create your own stuff, there's just going to be a lot of wasted energy. a quote that I don't exactly remember, but I like the idea of, was that the only bad thing you could say about this person was that they were self-taught. And that's to say that there's a lot of wasted energy in self-teaching. If you have someone to just walk you through it, which is, I mean, maybe that's also why the kids are getting down with the Riz, is because they don't have parents teaching them how to speak and act.
Yeah, but like people also want to make things their own, and rather
Mm.
than learn what existed, they're really, yeah, they're just doing the same thing. Like they're almost reinventing the wheel and being like, oh no, but it's new. It's like, no, it's exactly the same. You're just too ignorant to see it.
Well, yeah, they think it's new because
Yeah.
they haven't seen it before.
And I don't like Riz's charisma because that just seems like you just picked letters from the word and went, yeah, it's good enough.
I think that's just what the kids do when they make new words. And if you say you don't like it, then you're just old man yelling at cloud.
I'll yell at clouds all day.
Yeah, I will too. Well, not necessarily yell at them, but just with my kid, we're just like, Cloud. Yeah, Cloud. Alex, what's wrecking your life this week?
So the thing that bothers me the most currently is cologne.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not a thing you think
smells.
about often. Well, yeah, like having a scent of your own. So I don't know when I started, but I mean, it's been a wickedly long time now that I've worn cologne, but I only really wear it if I'm going out. Like, it's not like a, but I had one scent and it was McGraw by Tim McGraw, and they discontinued that. And I don't know what the scent was, like, because you know how you always hear people like, oh, well, it's a ashwood and oak and whiskey. And then so I found was it like Ocha or something like that? It was online. I just kind of Googled finding colognes, and they make a bunch, and so you have to buy. And that's the worst part is you have to just buy things to try them. You can't really like. It tells you a description, and you're like, cool. I have to buy this $30 cologne to see if I enjoy the smell, and so I bought a bunch of those, and then I found one I liked, and then they discontinued that. And
Oh.
then like before they discontinued it, I bought like 6 or 7 bottles. So it's like cool. I've had it for a few years now, and now it's like I have to start again. And it's so hard to just be like, let me retry to find a scent. And so I'm just hating on that like world of cologne right now. It's a lot of effort and a lot of money to, I guess, smell
Well, I
like you
think
don't
you
smell.
can go to some stores and like try them out. And they have the coffee beans you can
Well,
smell to
like
clear
they
your
used to
palate.
have it at things like Target and Kohl's, but like now, like you have to go to the mall and go to one of those perfume stores or whatever
Uh,
they are, and I'm not doing that.
yeah.
But at least this website actually had samplers. I mean, you still have to buy them, but they're 2 ounce bottles, and so I recently just ordered 24 different scents so I can try to find one.
Oh,
Flizo!
whoa, Flizzo in the house.
Hey, I'm here,
Hey, that's an
guys.
appropriate use of that. Alex was telling us about his cologne trials,
Yeah, that's my
Oh,
rec currently
you
is
have a bunch of
cologne.
like samples.
his rec of the week.
Well, that's
Well,
yeah. I just ordered a bunch of samples.
I was going to say that what I used to do for cologne is just get the samples, and that would be what I'd use. But it seems as though I don't wear it as much as you do, because I
Well, so
probably still
I
have
put it on
samples from like
before
15
like I
years
go to
ago.
work, and so like I'll like do the. I also put on cologne where people are like, you're doing it wrong. I do both wrists, the sides of my neck, and then like the center of my sternum, and then I do the wrists
That seems
together,
like a lot.
and then I rub the neck down.
Yeah, I do
But
one
it's
wrist
not.
and the sternum,
See, that's what people say,
and
but like,
rub
dude,
the
no,
wrists.
neither of you have ever said like, oh wow, man, you smell really strong of cologne, because it becomes my natural scent, and that's why it upsets me when I have to replace it, because I have to like find one and have enough of it to like reset my entire body scent that people now just know that's what I smell like, but it's not overpowering.
So why don't you just
Yeah,
go
I
with one
like changing
scent
up my
and like
scent.
stick with it?
Because
That
they
was his rec.
discontinued it.
Yeah, they keep
No, you can
discontinuing
always
on
find
him.
Yeah.
people like make the old
Well, that's
old
probably
style
true.
stuff.
There's probably cases of Tim McGraw on eBay you could buy.
Yeah, no,
There's
'cause there was
also,
a hot
like,
minute where I
scent
was buying it off of
copiers.
eBay.
Oh, okay. You got all the black market cologne
Yeah, like
already.
I got all of the Tim McGraw I
Alright.
could get at a reasonable price, and then it was like I had to find something else. But yeah, Flizo, the problem with the scent copiers is like you have to know exactly what those smells are in the thing that you currently have. And like, I've never met a bottle that says this is this, this, and this, and that's all you want is those smells. So you have to then create a new smell and then hope that never goes away.
Like typically in the description, they'll describe, like, you know how you can hashtag stuff. They'll add whatever that scent is in their description,
hashtag
even though
whiskey,
it won't be the name.
hashtag oak.
Yeah,
Very much.
Whiskey
But I
oak.
like changing my scent or whatever products I use every so often, because I think of it as that material. You just like keep putting layers and layers of it into your skin, and I want to get different material because I don't want to have a buildup of whiskey artificial scent in my.
So you're not a California redwood, Chris. You're not just going to be a giant big tree that looks the same for years and layers of the same thing over and over.
You know, I do that change up with deodorant scents. I like to change those up, but like cologne, I only go with like two of the same. They're the same brand, just two different scents, and I just one.
If Old Spice ever went out of business,
dark. And if I'm wearing a dark color thing, I wear dark. If I wear a light color outfit, I use the light scent. It makes no sense.
I do have different. I have different colognes for different cosplays. That's for sure. Because I feel different characters would have different smells than I'd have on my normalness. So I have, like, the other colognes that I bought, like, to test out, I was like, oh, this one really works for a pirate. And so I have a cologne that, when I'm dressed as a pirate, that's the cologne I use.
That's when you want the whiskey.
So
no, it is a very alcohol-forward one.
Do you have one that smells like rum?
Yeah.
That should be the powdered one, right?
No. I mean, I guess I could just spray rum on myself. Yeah, I could just, like, splash rum onto the same parts and blend it in.
That works too.
All right, Flizo, did you bring your This Week in History?
So This Week in History, June 13th, 1966, the U.S. Supreme Court handed down the decision in the Miranda versus Arizona, establishing the principle that all criminal suspects must be advised of their rights before their interrogation. That's you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, won't be appointed to you. So those, before that decision, those rights weren't really commonly known, I guess, to a lot of criminals or a lot of people in the sphere of being interrogated by the police. So they kind of felt they had to. So the Supreme Court, went through the case and they're like, hey, people shouldn't realize that they have a right, especially if they are being interrogated and are in custody by the police. Mm-hmm. So there's circumstances where a spontaneous utterance wouldn't count versus the Miranda decision. That's if you're in custody, technically, like driving in the back of the police car, and you say, "Hey, I really didn't mean to kill those people." They'll, oh well, I mean, I don't like those people. Then that would be a spontaneous utterance. So they wouldn't hold that against the Miranda decision. But if the cops bring you in and they put you in a room and then they start questioning you, that's when they have to give you those warnings, especially if it seems like you're not free to leave. So that's
when anything you say can be used against you.
Right. Well, I mean, anything you say can
be used against you.
But that's when you need to know that. So, I mean, like if somebody just comes up to you and talks to you, those things can be used against you. But it's when you're in custody and being interrogated that warning.
And here we are recording everything that could be used against us.
That's why I only say good things. Like, moving on to the Bible. Today's reading is from Matthew 7, verses 7 through 11. And let's get into it. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. And to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father, which is in heaven, give good gifts to them that ask him? Whatever you're going through, do that thing you're thinking of and have faith in God. It's that simple. If you want more, there's a book that will tell you how to live, KJV Bible. If that's too long, just read the book of Matthew. If that's too long, let me tell you about Jesus. He is God and the Son of God. He died for the forgiveness of your sins, rose again on the third day, ascended into heaven, and is seated at the right hand of the Father. So have faith in that. In the beginning, we touched on ancient wisdom, the idea of whoever knocks, the door shall open. Whoever asks shall be answered. That's ancient wisdom.
That kind of reminds me of like a closed mouth doesn't get fed type thing. If you never ask for something, then you're never going to get it because you never pursued that which you sought. That's also like go after your dreams kind of deal. Go out into the world and try to seize it. Seize the day.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I feel like there are some situations where you should get recognition for what you're doing, though. Like, you shouldn't have to always ask for, I guess, like a pat on the back for the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, but some people don't know that they should give you recognition. In certain circumstances, you just wouldn't know that that's what somebody wants. Because that person could have been dealing with somebody else that doesn't like recognition like that.
Yeah, but then once you have to ask for it, it's just ruined.
Well, I've always thought that even wanting recognition ruins the good deed. Why are you doing the thing? Is it because it's good or because you want the recognition?
Well, that depends on the deed. There are certain things that you do that might be considered good deeds, but you want the recognition.
Like what?
I got no examples at this point.
Okay.
But like, it's also weird when you're also doing something to like be polite, and someone's like, "Oh, thank you for that help," and you're like, "Don't mention it. It's awkward."
About wanting recognition for something, or doing something because you want to do it. So, how do you feel if you are charitable or if you're nice and you're like, that's the, I guess, godly thing to do, and in the back of your mind, you're like, I kind of want to get into heaven, so I want to be nice. Now, is that selfishness, or is that like a negative thing to feel that way? Because it's like you're doing it because it is the nice thing to do, but also you're doing it because you want a little spot up there.
Gets into the debate between faith and works. So a belief that you get into heaven based on that you're doing good deeds, or get into heaven just because of you have faith in Jesus.
Right.
Well, I guess that's the whole debate on repenting before you die.
Yeah, you think those people shouldn't get in?
The debate where you could be a rotten person your entire life, and then that last 5 minutes, you see the light, you repent. Some people would feel that's unfair.
I had said before that like bad people gets what's coming to them. I don't really believe. When I see a person doing rotten things, even when they're alive, in my head I say they're living in hell, because I know what happens to a person when you do that. It's like if you're only looking out for yourself, basically everyone becomes an enemy to you, and you're going to get screwed over and all these little things, but then those compound and your life just continues to get worse, and you keep looking at everyone as enemies, so you just keep digging that hole.
It does, as I said, that person,
I'd rather just
like all the time. It just eats away at them, and you can see them.
You turn your back on the world.
Was that Shakespeare?
From like
Lion King.
Oh. Is that Scar?
So I've talked about reading out loud, and I thought I should go into why I think that's important. Because like Harry Potter or Dungeons and Dragons, I believe there are magic books. And when saying these words, a spell is cast. There's good and bad magic. The Bible is the holy book. Think about what words you would like to put out into the world. And so that sort of goes with the ask and you'll be answered. You put the thing out there.
Responsibility.
No, seriously, like people aren't responsible for themselves anymore, and it's crazy. It drives me crazy. They blame other people when they should be responsible. You know.
Yeah, I agree that people are not responsible, and And it kind of goes with just not wanting to do work, because that's basically what responsibility is. And I think your pat on the back for doing work and being responsible is that your life gets better, or whatever the thing you're doing improves, because you're maintaining it. You're being responsible with it.
My way to going it is always be responsible for myself, but it's just keep going. And if somebody screws up, just let them know. But like, don't take it on me, or if it affects me, I'm still responsible for me, and just keep going and don't let it affect you. Be responsible for yourself at the very least.
I like to try and shoulder as much weight as possible and be the biggest umbrella. But Alex, did you want to continue on your disagreement?
No, I mean, I want to disagree with it, but I really don't have a base argument other than just
well, that's why part of this is also teaching you to be responsible, and that's what drinking the water is being responsible with your health. Because if you aren't responsible with it, it will deteriorate, and very quickly. And you can't blame others, because if you do, then you just deteriorate quicker.
You can't blame McDonald's for you eating a bunch of Big Macs every day.
Speaking of,
could.
Why has fast food gotten more expensive than regular food? There's a farm down the street from me that cooks a fried chicken sandwich and fries. It's cheaper than the Wendy's further down the street for a combo meal. It boggles my mind. They're the cheap food.
What kind of farm?
There's like Flatland, food grows from the ground. I think there's animals.
Do they have, is it their chickens that they then...
No, I don't think they are. In fact, because I was eyed up their peach trees, and I was trying to talk to a worker about them, and she said, hopefully this year they grow fruit. My thinking was, they're big trees. The reason that they haven't grown fruit is because they planted them too close together. Oh. So they're a little uninformed in their ways, but I think it's just a pretty area. But regardless,
they got a good fried chicken.
How is it cheaper? But yeah, good fried chicken sandwich.
Well, I think they raised their wages, so then they want to still maintain their upper management salaries. So they just raise the prices and just hope that people don't notice or keep going and blame somebody else.
I was thinking that the Gen Alpha kids are not going to grow up eating fast food like our generations probably have, because it'll be too expensive. So.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, McDonald's was like $3 for a whole meal. Now it's like $3 for a sandwich.
If even.
No,
yeah, $3 is the dollar menu.
Yeah. It's like,
for
6 something, it's like, it's outrageous. Like, even the dollar menu.
You can get a McDouble for, if that. I mean,
there was some scam they were running where one hash brown was like $2, but 2 hash browns was $2.19. I was furious when I had ordered one hash brown.
A lot of places do that. It's kind of like that weird medium effect where they're like, oh, a medium is $2.50, but a large is $2.75, and you're like, well, then why would I ever get a medium? The world is teaching you to be wasteful.
Yeah, they are out to get us. But to get good, we can read in the Bible. God is speaking directly to you and simultaneously speaking directly to every human that's ever lived. Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. That's Psalm 150. This is a magic book. There is a spell to connect with all humanity. How bad do you want to learn it? What would you give for a chance to speak to God? It's available to you right now. What do you have to gain?
Bibles aren't free, though.
Yeah, you can
free
get
when I'm reading it to you and distributing it for free. Well, yeah, you can get a Bible. I mean,
you can get a Bible.
Walk into a hotel room where the maid is cleaning a room, and you'll get a Gideon's Bible, I'm sure.
Well, if you think about that, like how they want to spread the word, yada yada yada, but Bibles aren't free.
Yeah, I know.
They're expensive, actually.
Well,
do you want me to send you a Bible?
An heirloom Bible.
Because I would also send a nice.
It's expensive. But you wait till Saturday morning.
I'm willing to bet we have
on your
a Bible
door
somewhere.
and say, "Hey, have you found Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" And you go, "You know what? Do you have a Bible to show me?" and then ask for the Bible, and then they'll give you a Bible, and then
Take the
talk to them
Bible.
for a little bit.
I mean,
Boom.
they probably would give you a Bible.
You'll never
They'll
hear from
definitely
them
give you a-
again, I'm sure.
Why didn't you join the church?
Yeah, then they
I
just continue to
am
come back.
the Alpha and the Omega. These words opened people's minds at a time because they didn't have a concept that large. Today we have words like infinity or Google, which is 10 to the power 1 million. It's been said the universe is only big enough to hold 10 to the power 81 worth of atoms. That's where scientists don't realize they are making the universe smaller than religion does. They think they're doing good, believing in their truth.
I remember speaking to a priest at a Catholic university. We got into this discussion about how God is the universe, essentially. Even with like how scientists discover things and they say, "Oh, this is this years old. This is this years old." But if you are everything from the beginning to the end, time really isn't that long to you. Like, God wanted to create us, but His end result would be us. Wasn't really any time at all to Him. It was a lengthy discussion. It went on for, I think, a week. But
Yeah, priests tend to just go on. And it's been said that if a sermon lasts more than 5 minutes, that it's ego.
Is that why you make sure to make the podcast a certain time? Because you're a king and not a priest?
No, I make it a certain amount of time because, one, don't do something you're good at unless you're being paid for it. So if people want more, then show me the Franklins and the Roosevelts or the Kennedys. Yeah, show me the Kennedys. 50-cent pieces.
50-cent pieces?
Yeah.
I got a few of them.
I have a gold one. It was a
what about
50th anniversary.
I have a mirrored one that's from 1986.
Give me the Sackies.
I have one Saki. My favorite is the
These
the
sacks.
walking lady
labia. Oh.
Yeah, I do not have
I like
corn
it.
with a labia on it.
I love the $2 bills because when you pay for something in a $2 bill,
Ooh.
the cashier looks for the slot in the register to put that $2 bill. They get really confused. Then they start thinking it's fake money, and then they call a manager. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So
That's
remember,
ancient
tipping
knowledge.
$2 bills.
What is
Don't
one of
pay in
these
$2.
things?
I heard a story someone told that they bought a $2 bill from like a tourist spot once for like $15.
Wow, that was not a good deal. But speaking of number conversions, we've got 24 back. The numbers today are 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I got it. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24.
I thought it would be.
You go with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are there more than
Well-
one way to solve them?
I think sometimes there are.
3 times 4, 12 times 2, 24 times 1, 24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then yes, there are multiple ways to solve them.
I guess that's just thing with numbers, and that's probably why they chose 24 is that so many combinations make it. I've gone through all my notes. Anything else from you guys?
That is a weird pose for you.
Yeah, that's very uncomfortable to get into as well.
No, I think I'm good till next week, probably.
Until next week. Follow Alex on Google Maps, link in the description. Check out my website, drawingmylifeaway.com. Flizo will soon be on social media someday. Thank you for listening. I hope you had a good day. Goodbye.
Deuces.
Adios.